nailing a strong application from Terry's perspective. So, in about a minute, we'll get started. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see people joining the session today. Hello, everyone. Hello, City of Lane. Hello, first timers. Hello, people who are connecting from Athens and Atlanta and everywhere else. We're very glad to have everyone here today. And without any further ado, I would do a brief introduction of our panelists today and also allow them to introduce themselves as well. But before I do that, this is the first of the webinar series that we have, MBA for Africa, where we host different top global MBA programs in terms of admission officers, and they get to share their own ideas around how the process is done and how you as MBA applicants and prospective students as well can put forth your best foot forward in terms of nailing a strong MBA application. And today we'll have with us Terry College of Business, the University of Georgia, my own MBA program. I'm very, very excited to be hosting the session for Lane. And today we have with us Kara Sonier and Ebonlua Oguntegbe as our panelists. And I'll just allow them to introduce themselves very briefly before we get started. Kara?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. This is always an exciting event for me. I feel at home with City of Lane folks. So thank you again. Yes, my name is Kara Sonier. I have been with the full-time MBA program for about 10 and a half years now. To Franklin and some of your classmates, it's not been officially announced yet, but Monday will be my first day as Director of Admissions for the full-time MBA program. So I'm excited to start on that journey and kind of continue to grow our MBA for Africa Lane group within our program. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, Kara. Ebon?
Congratulations, Kara. It's really good to hear such news. Hi, everyone. My name is Ebon Oguntegbe. I'm a second-year MBA student at the University of Georgia, Terry College of Business. I just concluded my internship with EY Partner, resumed back to school on Monday, unfortunately. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is City of Lane, where we make possibilities come true. And one of the ways that we do that is by encouraging and enabling people who are looking forward to being, to starting their MBA journeys, to navigate that journey in the best way possible. And I would go ahead and share a little bit about Lane as well. Okay, so I hope, can we all see my screen? Okay, sure, good. So we are going to have like the session where Kara and Ebon will share some perspective about the Terry program, and at the end we'll have some Q&A. Please, some house rules. If you're going to be applying to Terry, please make sure that you're respectful in your conduct, which also includes making sure that your phones are on mute as you join the session. Also make sure that your cameras are turned on. And at the end, we'll be having some attendance forms that will be circulated so that you can include your details if you want to have access to the fee waivers that we have for participants joining this meeting specifically. And also always remember to remain on mute all through the session, except you're speaking. Also, what should you expect from MBA for Africa webinars? We're going to be having over 10 schools represented, and this will run from August to November 2022. We're going to be having the sessions every week at 8 p.m. West African time. We also have Lane resources, a vibrant online community. We have our YouTube channel, which has different sessions, recorded sessions in the past about different MBA application tips and access to free resources as well. And so far, we have been graced to have had MBA for Africa for 2 years consecutively. We've had 13 MBA programs from Vanderbilt to Darden to London Business School to Johns Hopkins, and of course, Terry. Those are some of the schools that we've had, as you can see on the screen. And we're very, very, very glad and happy to see that Lane members have gotten admission into top schools across the world, from Darden to Talk to Columbia, Booth, Harvard, TEPA, MIT, Duke, Georgia, S.C. Johnson, Pittsburgh, Rice, and the list goes on and on, even Rotman in Canada. So we have like a very diverse pool this year. And, the diversity numbers in Lane keeps improving as we go. So they have introduced themselves, but through the session, we'll be able to have like more insights that will be shared. And then just a little bit about Lane, if this is your first session. Lane is a platform where we leverage the power of community to open you to a world of possibilities through like possible suitable MBA programs that will help you achieve your most honorable dream. And part of the things that we're very, very happy that we've been able to do include like, our different programs from our LAMP mentorship program to our Lantern program for first years and our MBA webinars. And now we're having MBA for Africa. So I would allow Kara to share her screen now, and we can get this session started. Kara?
Thank you. Okay, let me see if I can make this happen.
Sure.
All right, does that look okay? All right. Well, I'm actually going to probably skip around a little bit from my typical presentation. I'm remembering now that every time we get to this session, I always wish that I had a little bit more time to share with our current students. So I'm going to skip over some of the slides that are kind of basic information about our program that you can find on our website or by coming to a future info session that we might host. As I mentioned, starting Monday, I am taking over as Director of Admissions for our full-time MBA program here at the University of Georgia. We're slightly short-staffed, so that means that, this week we just welcomed our incoming class. So we were, welcoming them to campus. We were, full mode orientation. So the application has been a little bit delayed from where we would typically open it. So I do anticipate that should be a priority within our office here in the next week or two, but we will get our fall 23 application up and running as quickly as possible. And so at that point, when we open up the application, we will also publicize all of our fall events and kind of make you aware of everything that's coming up in the next few months, so you can learn a little bit more about our program. So I have this lovely picture of very familiar faces for you. This is our first group of Lane candidates coming through our program, and they're going to be leaving us. Can you believe we just have a few more months left in our program, essentially? And so, this has been a great partnership for us. The first event I did with Lane back in, I guess it was 2019, we saw a 300% increase in candidates from Africa in that 1 year. I had to go back and do the math from our application cycle this year. We had 200 African candidates apply to our program for fall 22. So what does that mean for you? If I'm honest, most of the African candidates who were not part of Lane did not make the cut. You guys were the best prepared, and so you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing, and I'm excited to see what will come in this coming year. We've had a great group that have joined us from this year. Franklin and his classmates have started a Blacks in Business club, and so they've been great at documenting a lot of our newcomers coming into the program. So I'd encourage you to check them out on LinkedIn to learn a little bit more about their experience while they've been here. So essentially, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our program very quickly, and then I want to dive right into my tips for, getting a strong application in. And like I said, you're doing the top one first, is participating in Lane and learning and growing from this organization. So go ahead and skip through. As I mentioned, I have been here for about 10 years in this program, but I have lived in the Athens area for close to 22. So prior to coming to Athens, I actually lived in Lagos, Nigeria. I went to school there. My father was an expatriate, and so it was a great experience, and I'm looking forward to it. I actually think 2023 is my year to be able to get back and visit in person and meet some candidates there. So I'm excited about that. But if you're unfamiliar with the University of Georgia, our full-time MBA program is located in Athens, which is about an hour northeast of Atlanta. So essentially, we have the best of both worlds: a small college town that has a lower cost of living and less traffic. So much different from what you guys are experiencing in a big city. But at the same time, we're very close to one of the nation's largest business hubs. So, and I would say, because we are a small town, there are a lot of opportunities to tap into the local network of small businesses, nonprofits. I think there's probably over 300 nonprofits in the Athens area now, and we have a very thriving startup community. So our students are engaged with those organizations while they're in the program, either through our nonprofit board fellowship program, where they can start working for a nonprofit while they're here. It gives you an opportunity to not only take advantage of ways to gain some additional experience, but you're also giving back. You're giving back to organizations that may be tight on resources, that maybe don't have a formal business background. And so you're really able to kind of provide services to them while you're here. But from what I hear from our current students participating in those types of programs, I think they're gaining more out of that experience, in just kind of the value that it brings to them personally. So Athens is a great place to do that. So in addition, UGA also generates about $6.5 billion of impact of the Georgia economy. I actually think it's probably a little bit higher than that now. It is a large resource for the state of Georgia, and we have a lot of good friends in terms of the network and the relationships that the university has built over the years. Additionally, Athens has one of the lowest cost of living. It's 6% lower than the national average, so we'll definitely help you as a full-time student on a tight budget. And of course, you'd be joining our UGA and Terry College alumni network. We are spread out in over 80 countries around the world, so you're tapping into a great resource just by being a student here. And so, I'm going to quickly go through this, but you know about rankings, you're familiar with it. We've consistently stayed in the top 30, top 40 over the past 10 years I've been here. Actually, when I first started back in 2012, I think we were ranked in the 50s. And so the reason we have become such a stronger program is because, one, of the students that we're bringing into the classroom, the talent that we're bringing here, but also, you know, we're kind of thinking about what are the market needs. So we're constantly evaluating that at this point and thinking about how we can make our students more marketable for the roles that they're looking for. And so, you know, through our advisory board committees and through our alumni committees, we're able to make sure that we're providing curriculum that is important and will set our students up for success. So these are the things on our screen that I feel like we do best. We definitely want to make sure that you can tell your story and get what you need out of the MBA program and from our university. And so we're here to provide personalized support. Having a small class size really enables us to do this. Not only are you going to have dedicated faculty who know you very well, but you're also getting individualized career support. And I'm sure Franklin and his classmates can probably vouch for the fact that you cannot be anonymous here. Those career service team members will come and find you if they know that you have an internship interview coming up or a full-time job interview coming up. They will make sure that you are prepared. So at UGA, again, our story kind of centers around these three things: the individualized support, providing the learning opportunities, the opportunities for you to kind of use the theories and skills that you're gaining inside the classroom, outside the classroom, and helping you get the best return on investment in yourself. So your classes are always going to be taught by world-class faculty and industry practitioners. And of course, MBA staff are always here to help you succeed. We have great alumni mentors to guide you as well. And, you know, we're going to be focusing on what classes will help you, again, be more marketable and help you align yourself with your career goals. So starting in your second semester, you can kind of focus on the projects and co-curricular opportunities that prepare you for your summer internship, and also, you know, leverage for the full-time job search and help you demonstrate how you can contribute to these organizations. And so how do we support our international students specifically? Your needs are different and challenges are going to be greater. And that's just kind of the way it is. We understand that you need, you know, we need to help you understand how the US job market works, even though I know you're talking a lot about that in your sessions with Lane. We're going to help you build a network in the US and target the companies that sponsor, most importantly. And so our personalized approach is centered on the student experience and the support we provide each individual academically, socially, and professionally, so that you can make the most out of your time here. And we're fortunate enough to be able to offer generous merit aid. In addition to scholarships, 100% of our international students have graduate assistantships, which come with full tuition waivers and stipends for the work that they do as a graduate assistant. Our career coaches provide personalized career advising that helps prepare you for networking with alumni and recruiters for interviews, and help you navigate to the US job market. Our average salary has typically increased year over year, and so that means that you can recoup your investment faster. We'll connect you with the right alumni at the right time so that you can build your network and be mentored by alumni working in your areas of interest, and you know, of course, build those relationships that will support you while you're in the program, but also after the program. And then I already kind of talked about the curriculum, but I will say it is very flexible in that you're really able to customize the curriculum to allow you to build out those skills, to fill in skill set gaps that you have for the jobs that you're looking for. And we'll work with you hand in hand. Our student engagement team and career services team do a really great job of kind of customizing that and working with each student to build the business case for, you know, what you need to do to set you up for success with your job search goals. And then, of course, the project applied learning project courses are going to be ways that you can engage with businesses on real problems and deliver real solutions. We also have an international residency program, so our students are able to go abroad over spring break and do a mini consulting project with companies in that country. And so that has been another very meaningful way to learn about businesses in other countries and other cultures and be able to take that back to whatever organization you end up working for in the future. We do have a proposal underway to make our MBA program STEM designated. However, that is not a guarantee for us, but it is something that we are actively working on. It does take quite a bit of time. I think I've been talking about this for a few years now, but hopefully we'll see some changes. There were some changes recently with Homeland Security that updated some STEM concentrations and focuses, and so perhaps now would be the time. But for the meantime, we have developed an option for our international students to pursue that would allow them to gain both an MBA and our MS in Business Analytics degree program in 2 years. So we call this the MBA MSBA STEM track. And this allows you, again, to complete 2 degrees in 2 years. You'll obviously take a deep dive into analytics with our MSBA program, but it will, at this point in the way our immigration systems work, it does give you or makes you eligible for 3 years of work authorization in the US. So the funding opportunities are still the same for the MBA MSBA STEM track as they are for our 2-year MBA at this point. So it's a great option if you're interested in diving in a little bit deeper on the analytics side of things. All right, so here's where I'm going to kind of skip through really quickly. These things are facts that you can find on our website. Bottom line is lots of funding available to our students. Average salary is still great right now, and so you're going to receive a return on investment much quicker with little to no debt coming out of this program. Again, kind of where our stats are, and I think we'll be updating our website pretty soon with the class of 2022. I think the numbers are pretty close to the same, so that's promising. And I know that things are starting. There's a little bit of a downturn as we're seeing in the economy, but it still seems like our students are doing quite well. And I know that these guys here had fantastic internships lined up this summer, so I'm excited to hear a little bit more of those as well. This is just a smattering of sampling of companies that our students have gone to work for. It goes well beyond these, and I'm imagining I don't even have all of the ones from this summer listed. So definitely have some updating to do here, but we've had the opportunity to build some great relationships with organizations and they continue to be great partners. So again, we're going to help you partner with the right organizations that are going to be supportive of you and will help you kind of grow as a professional in the United States. All right. Okay. School selection. Here we are diving into best application. What you're doing right now is the best way to learn about programs. I would also encourage you to go to one of the info sessions. All of schools are doing virtual info sessions now. A lot of times we have additional students that are there, or maybe topic based. So definitely keep those in mind. But again, you're doing a great job of starting your research. You want to be thinking about applying early, look at deadlines, and then make sure that when you are selecting the schools, as you start to narrow them down, you definitely want to keep in mind where you are, where your profile is, and how it compares to the profiles of their classes. And think about ones that you feel like, are your target schools where you really fit in well, where you think it's a good fit for you, and that your profile kind of falls within the average range for those schools. And then shoot for the stars. What's your dream program? Give it a shot, try it, apply. You never know what will happen. So be thinking about those, but know that you might need to consider some backup options. But you're nice to have if it works out and you get some good funding, then you have a great opportunity in front of you. And then maybe apply to one or two schools that that your profile is above average, that you're gonna most likely gain admission from, so you have something to go to. But most importantly, make sure that all of these schools you would actually want to attend. I think I have seen so many applicants just applying to so many schools, and yes, you might be able to get application fee waivers, but applying to a school that you're not convinced that you want to go to is probably not to your benefit, because what's going to happen is you're going to sit in front of that interviewer, and that's going to come across to the interviewer. I am going to feel that this is not really your preferred school, and that doesn't really help you. I think you need to be convinced that you could be happy, and that you could really want to attend that school in order to be successful through this application process, because I do think that will slip into your application and your interviews if you're not committed to potentially going and you're not showing that interest in the schools. And I'd say, just remember not to only apply to those top choices. As I mentioned, kind of the way we're a small program, we don't typically see more than, I'd say, 400 applications per year for our incoming class. And to say that half of them were African candidates and a lot of them extremely strong, you've got to know that other schools are doing the same. And so really, by only applying to the top 10 schools, M7 schools for their reputation, it's going to be very competitive. It's going to be very challenging. And so be self-aware in noticing like where you should be applying, make sure you're applying early, and know that schools can be very generous, but no program is going to be free. I think oftentimes I see candidates coming back and asking for additional funding options after they've been admitted to a program. I know that you're encouraged to kind of negotiate a little bit and see what kind of additional funding might be available to you. But you have to do the math first, because what I have seen candidates do is they come back with an admission offer from a small private school, and they have this big, beautiful merit aid package, $100,000 US. What they're not doing the math on is that you then still have, that does not cover the full cost of tuition. Whereas the other school that you're requesting for more money from, it actually is going to be a cheaper option. So make sure you do that math. So pull out your spreadsheet, type in, the total cost for each program, what other expenses you might have, and then add in whatever merit aid you are receiving, so you see the full picture, and that you're going back to schools only when you actually have an argument, a competitive offer to receive additional aid. So that's just my little tidbit on funding. Take it or leave it, but I do think that it is important to kind of consider through this process. And of course, admissions officers are always happy to kind of break down merit packages and share a little bit more in a more easy to read format, because I know merit aid letters are always a little confusing. So just ask your interviewer or an admissions rep to help you out with that. All right, so research. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I do see a lot of, with our general email, I see a lot of questions that are easily answered on websites. So I know that you're looking at a ton of different schools and it's really hard to compile information, but it is important to do your research first before you go and take up an admissions officer's time answering questions that you could find for yourself. I do want to say that interactions matter. These interactions do matter. I will remember faces, maybe not always names, but I can remember a conversation with someone, and those impressions do matter. And so anytime you're interacting with anyone from an admissions office, think about whether or not this could be, or I guess talk to that person like they could be sitting on the admissions committee and talking about you on behalf of your application. And so just be mindful of that. Having a clear idea of your goals and, being prepared to kind of discuss those throughout the process is important. So, start digging through websites. If you need additional information, a lot of schools are offering one-on-one appointments so that you can answer your specific questions. So definitely take advantage of that. And then plan ahead, be prepared to submit, whatever GMAT or GRE. Some schools are waiving test scores, and that's something that you should consider as well. But know that if you have maybe a weaker part on your application, a better test score could help strengthen your application and your candidacy. So before you just hit, let's try for the test waiver, think about whether or not you need that to help compensate for some additional weaknesses in your application. Maybe you don't have a quantitative background. Maybe your undergraduate coursework was a little poor, and kind of how you present overall, because it is not just about a test score, it is about the whole application. And so again, if that test score can help you and improve your candidacy, consider that before you request a test waiver. And then, if you do have maybe a less quantitative skills and you've decided to maybe shoot for that test waiver, present some additional information like, MBA math, or UCLA Berkeley has some courses as well that can provide additional quantitative skills for you, but also help you present that to an admissions committee. And then most importantly, use the essays to tell your story. Make sure that you are yourself. And I know that just kind of, when I say that, it's just kind of really a hard thing to say, because a lot of times through this process, you don't know these things. You're learning about yourself. You're learning about other programs. But what I want to see from an essay is somebody who has thought through their goals. Maybe that's not something that you'll ultimately end up doing, but you've kind of gone through the process of thinking that through, outlining what you're hoping to do, how you're going to achieve that, what skills you are bringing to the table, and how you will contribute to an MBA program. And so that's important to kind of really strategize and write up in your essays. And I'm sure your programming with Lane will help coach you in writing these essays. And I think it's most importantly to kind of share those with others before you submit them. So make sure you're having your peers read them, make sure you're kind of leaving it on the table, walking away from it, coming back to it, doing some additional editing until you feel like it really tells your story and what you're hoping to achieve. All right, I'm talking too long, so I'm going to keep moving. We'll skip through that one. All right, and so my best recommendation is to remember to show up as your absolute best self with interviews. You know, dress to impress. Research about school interviews. There's a lot of places that will share kind of what the interview process is, what types of interview questions admissions committees are asking. And so make sure that you have gone through those. Maybe do some practice sessions with a friend and have them ask you some of the questions so you have an opportunity to speak out on experiences you've had in your career and your life. And then think about too, like the Zoom session, like you're doing your virtual interview, what's in your background? What kind of noise is going on around you? Is it going to be distracting for the interviewer? You want to kind of think through all of those things. And most importantly, again, practice, practice, practice. Just kind of continue to build confidence when possible. And then, you know, dress the part. Dress for the job you want. Dress for the career you want. So keep that in mind as well. All right, so deadlines have been updated. These are for our next application cycle. October 10th will be our round 1 deadline. We'll still have the application open plenty enough time if you want to submit for our early deadline. The final deadline for international candidates will be on March 1st. So it is, I think, a little bit later. I don't really remember, but I think typically we have had February as our recommended deadline for international students. We want to make sure that you are set up for success, that you're ready to go. The I-20 process and the student visa process is lengthy. And so we want to make sure you have all the time to get that stuff taken care of and then focus in on preparing for the MBA program. I always recommend working backward from the decision release dates. So think about when you want a decision and then figure out how that relates to your application deadline that you should submit for. So on this page, I've got our application deadlines up on the top row, and on the bottom row are the dates that we guarantee decisions by. So think about that. When we say application deadline, that means that your test scores have to be received by the time that we start reviewing those applications for that round. So if you submit your application on October 10th, but you're not taking the test score until, you know, a few weeks later, there's a really good chance that your application will be pushed to the next round. So think about that as you're preparing for the application process and the taking GMAT or GRE. All right, so I'm going to actually pause here on this slide, because in addition to these options for learning more about our program and our student experience, we've got some incredible students on this call that I want to share a little bit more about their experience in our program. I definitely want to hear about any, like, your #1 tip for applying and preparing for the application process. But before you do that, maybe you could share a little bit about what you have been doing in this past academic year and what you're about to go into with the MSBA. So I'll have Ewan could go first, please.
Sure, Kara. Yeah, thank you so much for that presentation. What I did last semester was majorly MBA core. So we, just like Kara said, the curriculum is given to us in such a way that it makes us eligible to apply to top companies and organizations. So yeah, I took some MBA core programs. Second semester, I was able to take some electives. So I'm currently doing the MSBA, the business analytics pathway, and I'm also concentrating in strategy. So I took some strategy classes. Also, by the side, I know that Carol can still also touch upon this. There are also other social events and other pathways that also set you up to prepare you for internship and also full-time. So for instance, I'm also in the board fellows program that she mentioned earlier. A board fellow for Canopy Studios, and I'm currently helping them with the internal control of the organization, which has been really helpful. Also, I was able to do a strategy. Project for Synovus Bank. Franklin was also on my group for that particular project. So talk about experiential learnings. These are the things that we've been exposed to in the first semester. Also talking about social events, myself and Kayla Vickers, who is now a graduate, an MBA graduate, started the Blacks in Business Graduate Association, which is now being kickstarted. If you check our social media platforms, you see what we've been up to, but it's also just like Lane is helping to diversify the program by including African students. That's exactly what we are also trying to do, to diversify the program with Black fellows, both Black Americans and also Africans. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience, and trust me, year flew by very fast. Like, I mean, just open your eyes and close it, and then 1 year is gone already. So for second semester, or for second year, beg your pardon, we will be moving into the MSBA track. So just like she said, we have the MBA MSBA track, which not only give you an additional degree, it helps you as an international student to have 3 years, 3 years OPT before you get your H1B. So yeah, it gives you more time as an international student, also giving you an extra advantage. It gives you an edge, because right now, analytics is everything in the United States. When you're recruiting, and then recruiters hear that you have, or you're on that pathway of getting your business analytics degree, they want to listen to you. They give you audience, basically. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect, to be very honest. I can't really say so much about that right now, because I took some very amazing courses last semester, and trust me, it wasn't the easiest thing, but they were amazing experience. I'm happy that I got to stretch myself. So yeah, maybe when I'm done with my second year, I can give you the real gist of what the MSB trackway is like. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a good ride this semester.
And tell me what you did this summer.
Yeah, so this summer I interned with EY Partner. EY Partner is the strategy and transactions unit, in quotes, or sector for EY, for Ernst & Young. I worked in the regulatory affairs. I was on a project for a spin-off for an organization. In summary, M&A, merger and acquisition. So this particular company is trying to spin off a particular segment of the organization. It's a life science company, and the project is roughly taking about 2 years. So I was just in the project for about 8 to 10 weeks. I worked with regulatory affairs. It's a really huge project, one of the largest in EY. Then under regulatory affairs, I worked with PMO. So PMO is Program Management Office. Program Management Office allow you to organize. It's like bringing every functional substreams together. So we have substreams like markets, the US markets, external markets. We have LES, we have finance, we have IT. So there are so many substreams, and then the PMO brings these substreams together, making sure that all milestones for the clients met. So yeah, it had to do with lots of slide decks, lots of client-facing activities, and a whole lot of other things. that I did in the last 8 to 10 weeks thereabout. It was an amazing experience. You also get to meet people. It's pure consulting, and half of what you do in consulting is networking with people. So yeah, that also gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of people. Part of what I also did in PMO was facilitate some meetings, which was amazing. I was also able to own some particular projects, building databases for some surveys. And yeah, it was a good experience generally. Also, by the side, I tried to complete my MSBA bootcamp, which I'm not sure I did a good job on. But yeah, so yeah, because we are in the MSBA track where we have the bootcamp that was supposed to be completed over the summer. We have Python bootcamp, R, statistics. Yeah, so I tried. Trust me, I tried. I'm still on it, but hopefully I'm able to finish that before Monday. So yeah.
Well,
Let
good
me know
luck
if you
with
have any
that.
questions. Thank you. I do need it.
And so what is maybe something that sticks out in your mind from the application process that was either really challenging for you or something that you felt like you could offer advice to other candidates about for their upcoming application?
Right. Okay. So I'll start by saying that Kara has shown the deadlines and when the decisions would be made available to you all. But I personally would like to say that we are still in August, which means that we have time. Like you have time. Make sure you use the time that you have before this application starts. For me, one thing that happened was my GRE was like, my GRE exam was, I think, one week or so before the application deadline, which was not the easiest thing. So I wish I had started the process earlier. I started the process really late. Like this time last year, I had no idea I was going to come for an MBA degree. So I feel like everybody on this call is at an advantage. So start early. You already know when the application deadlines will be. So if you don't have your GRE or GMAT scores, this is the time to get it started. This is the time to start looking for recommenders. This is the time to start on your essay, because it's not just going to be you writing an essay, it's going to be reviews upon reviews of that essay, just making sure that you give your best self for the application process. So my sincere advice is start early. I wouldn't advise anybody, realistically speaking. I mean, if you're on this call, target to apply by first or second round. It just it gives you time to plan yourself. So yeah, I think that's one of the major challenge for me during the application process.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. Kara, I'm sure that we have a ton of questions in the chat, and we have so many people willing to ask questions either to Kara or Ebon. So for all learners on the call today, we, like I said earlier in the call, we have the pleasure of welcoming Terry College of Business to make a presentation about the full-time MBA program. And you can also learn about the MBA, MSBA STEM track program. So if you have like any questions, you can raise up your hand. Also, Olamide has in the chat the attendance form if you are hoping to apply to Terry this cycle. We would be using those forms to give out application fee waivers, but you have to be a participant of this session and you have to fill out your details. I can see some hands raised. I'll go with the first one on my screen. So Sam, can you unmute yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam, and Kara and a couple of us go way back from 2019 when we started Lane. And I want to use this opportunity to thank the Terry College of Business for being an amazing partner all through this year. So we were not known. I mean, Terry we just shoot a blind cold email. Someone responded, and they took the chance. And I'm glad that this partnership has been fruitful since then, and it's been quite amazing. And we look forward to doing more with the Terry College of Business. The reason I raised my hand is a couple of things. There are about 60 people on this call, which is quite amazing. And I want you guys to take hold of this opportunity. It is quite rare to find people bring this together. Every time I attend things like this that we do at Lane, I'm always like, oh my goodness, why didn't someone think of this before we did? So that journey would have been easier. So I want you to take this session very, very seriously, because it has changed people's lives for the good. So that's on the side. The reason we do this, the reason we push this, Terry is not paying us. We're not paying Terry to be here. It is all selfless service, because we know that down the line, you would make sure that people in your community, wherever it is that you're coming from, also get access to opportunities that they may not have any idea about. And at the end of the day, it's helping our continent. I think it's a long way of saying, try to be selfless as you think about your own MBA journey and where you hope to be. Thank you, Kara.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. For those of you who it's your first time joining the call, Sam is our managing partner and founder at Lane. And thank you so much, Sam, for all you do. I can see another hand raised. Itoro Nehemiah, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone from Nigeria, that is. Thank you very much for that presentation, Kara. It was quite insightful. So I have a couple of questions, but I think I'll try to merge them as much as possible so I can leave time for others to ask their questions as well. So I think my first question really is, what advice would you have for reapplicants? So I think one of the mistakes I made in my application, I think earlier this year for this year's, was that I applied really late. But other than that, I don't know if there are any things in particular that you'll be looking at for those who are reapplying. And perhaps you could shed some light on, I would say, in your experience, or from what you've observed so far, what the weakest parts of the applications have been. So perhaps we could pay more attention to those areas.
Sure. Well, I will say, we always welcome reapplicants. You'd be surprised, a lot of times decisions have nothing to do with with candidacy, right? It could be timing. It could be, we have a responsibility to create a diverse classroom space to provide a great experience. And so maybe your profile is a little bit too similar to somebody we've already admitted and is planning on coming to the program. So a lot of times it is timing related. If you feel like there are areas of your application that aren't as competitive, try to make improvements on those. So things that you can control, like a lack of quantitative experience, maybe you're looking at improving test scores, or maybe you're doing the MBA math courses online and can kind of provide that information to admissions committee. And then just making sure that when you get to the essays, well, one, don't reuse the same essays, because as an application reviewer, if I notice that it is a reapplicant, I'll go back to see and compare the two applications. Where has this person tried to improve their application? So, your goals might not have changed. And I'm not saying that if everything is exactly the same, just kind of maybe reflect on the experience that you've had in the past year. What other things have you done in the past year to make you a strong candidate for a program? But like I said, a lot of times decisions don't necessarily have to do with a person's candidacy, unfortunately. And so definitely apply earlier, apply with intention, apply with kind of reflection of the past year. And if you can improve small things, go for that.
Thank you so much, Kara. Itoro, do you have any other question? I think you have to unmute yourself.
trying to, okay, finally. So I was trying to unmute myself. Thank you very much for that response. Taking quite a number of notes from that, and yeah, I should reapply this year as well. So I guess the final question on my end would be about self-reported transcripts. I'm wondering if, I mean, given the current situation of things with schools or universities, federal universities in Nigeria, it's been a little difficult getting official transcripts. So I'm wondering if pending that, and this is hoping that all of that is resolved in time, but pending that, I'm wondering if Terry College would be accepting self-reported transcripts.
Yes, for the application review process, we only need unofficial transcripts. So you don't have to worry about getting the official transcripts in until after you've been admitted to the program. And even still, our graduate school will allow you to get here and have those transcripts, those official transcripts in hand. You'll want to make sure that they're in a sealed envelope so that they're certified and be able to be verified as official. But you know, I know it's challenging, one, to get those official transcripts right now, also costly. And in some cases, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's the same in Nigeria, but I know some of like our Indian candidates, they literally have one copy and that's it. So you hold on to that. And when you get here in August, you bring it to me and I will hand carry it to our graduate school to be verified. So, you know, if you need to get the unofficial or the official transcripts in, just, you know, talk to the admissions officer and let them know the situation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do we have any other questions? In the meantime, I will go ahead and read up some questions that have been sent to me in the chat. So I guess, Kara, this is for you. Someone says, this question is from Samuel and says, are there criteria for waiving the GMAT?
So we will have that clearly outlined on the application. I don't anticipate much change from last year, but one of the major criteria is that you have at least 3 years of full-time work experience. So if you don't have that minimum qualification, you are not going to be considered for a test waiver. In addition to that, I would like to see, so if you're still a little unfamiliar with the purpose of test scores, it is really just to be able to determine your academic readiness or how well you are supposed to perform academically. We know that there are other ways to determine that. And so, you know, we're looking at maybe you already have a master's degree, maybe you have a very quantitative academic or professional experience. And so those are other things that we're looking at to evaluate those test waivers. How can we get the information we need to determine if you have the skills to be successful here?
Thank you so much, Kara. Thank you. I see a hand raised in the chat. I think that's Timmy. Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay. I think you should be able to unmute yourself now. Timmy, are you there? Okay. If you're speaking, you're mute. Okay. I guess we'll have to come back to that later. Let me see. Let's try one more time.
I see a question about required GRE test scores. We don't have minimum test score requirements. However, you know, I would encourage you to look at the class profile. Sometimes the GRE scores are a little skewed because still not quite as many people submit a GRE as they do GMAT. But I think last year's GRE average was about a 312. So
Yes. In addition to that, do check out the website and be sure that you're using the updated score. I think there is a question again in the chat that says, my question is, so this person is Abdul Fatai, and it says, hi, Kara, my question is around the diversity at UG. I know it's a small class size, but what's the diversity stand of the school? I feel like Kara and Ebu you guys can both go on this one.
Yeah, well, so I know that, we have continued to grow in diversity in our program. It is something that, we are continually working on and trying to improve upon. And so, the organization, the club that our students have created in the past year has been extremely successful in helping us kind of gain awareness among their classmates, but also, nationally, if you will, or among MBA programs. Their success has been extremely helpful in showing kind of what diversity we have in our class. We are sitting at about, I want to say 25 to 30% international. In our incoming class, we had 7 nationalities represented. So for me, that is exciting to see all of the diversity from around the world. But yeah, I think, I think what he's asking more about is the experience as a diversity candidate in our program. So maybe one of our students would want to answer that question.
Ebu, you want to chime in?
Yeah, so I would just say that we've seen an increase in diversity. I think it's improved over the years. Looking at the trend of things, 3, 4, 5 years back, it's different from now. So one thing I would like to say is it's improving, which is a good thing. And another thing I would also like to mention is the flexibility of the program. And that's actually one of the most important things. The program is flexible to welcoming ideas to increase diversity and improve experience of everybody. So yeah, I just talked about a number of clubs that have been founded in the last 1 year. I know the Unity and Pride just came up, also the Blacks in Business, and a lot of other clubs who are also incorporating diversity and good experience in whatever events they come up with. So I would say that it has increased over the years. Now we have, just like Kara mentioned, about 30% international students in the program. And personally, as an international student, I would say that I haven't felt any negative kind of way. I think I'm enjoying the program as an international student. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or if you have any other thing to add.
Thank you, guys. I have a hand raised in the chat, Chimaobi Uwakwe. If you want to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kara. So my question was with respect to how you responded to Nehemiah's earlier question about people who are reapplying. You said you would go back and look at their essays to see if there's been any improvements and all. And then the question here is now, what if one feels like their essay was what held down their application in the first stance? Like, the question here is, the essay, is it a major criteria? GRE scores are important, but the essays as well, are they as important as the GRE scores?
Absolutely.
Especially if, oh, okay.
Yeah, they're just as important. At least, a test score is just a data point. It's one small fraction of the application. It doesn't tell me anything about who you are as a person. And that's what an admissions committee is going to care most about, is who you are as a person how you fit into our program, are we going to be able to set you up for success? The test score just tells us that you're prepared for what is to come in the academic environment. But again, when you're talking about an MBA program, if I'm honest, a lot of times the academics aren't the highest priority for you. You're juggling a lot. You're juggling the academics, you're juggling the job search, you're building a network. You also have to keep your mindset healthy. And so a lot of times relationship building is very important as well. So, I think the essays are the only opportunity for you to really show yourself and who you are as a person to the admissions committee before that interview. And so not all schools have interviews, not all schools will interview every single candidate. And so that essay is your best shot to get in the door for sure.
Thank you so much, Kara. I hope this, everyone listening, you're taking one or two things down. So we do have our Lane podcast called Lane Pods. If you notice, someone has been dropping different links in the chat as related to the specific questions you're asking. So you can go and check those out. We have about 70 episodes of podcasts that talk about different topics, from your test scores to your essays to MBA interviews and every aspect of that. Let me see if there are any other questions in the chat. Let me see. Okay, so I have someone who asked this question, and this question is kind of looking around. It was a private question. I don't know why the person sent it privately, but the question goes, hi, Kara, what direction do you see the Terry MBA heading toward, and how do you think prospective students can key into that?
Oh, that's a good question. It's very loaded. I would love to see growth in our program in terms of size, because I think that will allow us to increase diversity. There are a lot of factors in that we have to consider as a program. We will not sacrifice the experience at all. And so we're going to be very mindful of making sure that we're intentional with any potential changes. We have been through a very large period of change within our organization. So I think that it is time for us to kind of take a step back, evaluate kind of our successes and in the things that we need to kind of reconsider and reformat. So I think we're kind of, this next year is going to be a period of evaluation and reflection and seeing where we can pivot and adjust. And so while I don't think that there's any one specific initiative that I see, other than maybe potentially getting a STEM designated program, there's no large change effort in place for this next couple of years. We're going to be looking to, rethink how we have been doing things and how can we improve.
Thank you. So we'd also take a few more minutes to answer a few more questions. If you have questions in the chat, if you also look at the screen that is being shared, you will see that we have the email right there. You also have the directory of the website to check out the full-time MBA program for Terry if you haven't already. And if you're looking to schedule one-on-one appointments, it's at apply.terry.ug.edu/portal/FTMBA one-on-one. I feel like with this regard, like there's so many aspects of the program. From a personal perspective, the Terry program is really flexible in the sense that it really allows you to, like find what fits like a glove for you. And I feel like that's one of the really amazing things about the program. But I do have another question in the chat, and it says, with respect to the curriculum, usually the second year will be electives and recruitment. However, with the STEM designated track, second year students in Terry would have to take classes in the MSBA program. How do they balance these electives from the MBA with, I guess that would be with electives from the MBA program? Also, are students allowed to take classes from the University of Georgia, say classes in law, economics, public policy, etc.? I guess for the first question, I'd like Ebon to take that, and Kara, you probably take the second question. Ebon, so how do you feel like students are able to, do the balancing act of completing 2 degrees in 2 years?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I would like to state is I think the program also realized that we have limited options in terms of electives for second year as international students. So in a way, there are some courses that are offered for the MBA program and also for the MSBA program. So you have a merge of those courses in that regard. So if you take, for instance, I think there's competitive analysis, which is in the MBA program and also in the MSBA program. So you just take one of that. In first year, we had our milestone, the strategy projects. You're supposed to do 2 of that. So we did one in the first year, you do MSBA in the second year. So you won't have to do for the MBA in the second year. So what I'm just saying is that there are some courses that merge between those 2 curriculums. But a more realistic answer is it's not the easiest thing. You might have to take more courses I don't know if you get what I mean. For instance, someone who is not in the MSBA track might just be taking 3 courses in the first semester. You only need, I think, 9 units or so in the first semester, and then another one in the second semester. But if you're taking the MSBA track, you might have to stretch yourself to take more, especially if you want more electives. So are you able to do it? Yes. But would you have to do more? Yes. So you might have to extend those units. So if your normal domestic student is taking just 3 courses, you might have to take 5. So I don't know if you get what I mean. So you just have to take some of those courses in the MSBA program and also add your electives in the MBA program. But yeah, it's totally doable. Would you have to do more work? Absolutely yes. But yeah, it's absolutely doable, and that's what most of us. I think Franklin is also in the program. If you have any other thing to add, you can just chip in.
Yes, most definitely. Like Ebon already said, I mean, it's 2 degrees. The MSBA program is a 1-year program, full-time 1-year program. And the MSBA is an immersive 2-year program. So imagine having to complete both programs in 2 years. It takes a lot of work. I wouldn't, take it with a grain of salt, which is why not everyone is on that track. I have some of my classmates that are just there to, get their MBAs, and that's about it. But if you want to go the extra mile to complete those 2 degrees in 2 years, you have to, do some heavy lifting. And I feel like that's one of the things that hopefully the program also is very, very good at, helping you to navigate that situation. Something that it's doable, it's possible, but is it challenging? Absolutely. Kara, I'd also like you to take the question about, whether you're able to take other courses around the university, let's say courses around law or public policy or economics.
Sure. So technically speaking, you can. I think the University of Georgia Graduate School allows you to take up to 6 credit hours outside of your program offerings. One, I think a lot of times we have some great instructors. So for example, we have a great law professor that teaches in our program. So some of those things might already be part of the curriculum. it is a little bit more competitive because you are not a degree seeking student in those programs. It can be challenging to get a seat in those classes. But of course it is technically allowed, and it could be one of those things where you can arrange to do that. But it's like they've both said about the MBA and MSBA STEM track, it's a tight schedule. And so, we'll work with you to figure it out. Like they both said too, we're very flexible here. But you could potentially run into that situation where there's just not seats in those courses.
Also, permit me, Kara, to chime in here as well. If, let's say, for example, you're trying to do the MBA MSBA track, and you want to take some courses, let's say business law or legal or something, we do have some classes, like Kara did say, that are already in the faculty or in the college, Terry College of Business, that you can take. Also, you want to be very cognizant of your workload. To be able to do that effectively, you have a lot of credit hours. And trust me, by the time you're doing internship project, consulting project, your internship, managing some other classes that you're doing, your personal life, trust me, there's going to be very, very little space for any other thing, because again, the MSBA program is very analytical. It's very out of probably except maybe you worked in tech before, it's going to be a stretch for you. So you want to also put that into cognizance. But if it's something that you're really, really interested in, obviously you have to figure out how you're going to manage and balance your credit hours for the session. I think that is it for today. I don't know if we'll be able to take one extra question, but to ensure that we maximize and respect everyone's time, we'd like to wrap this up in about 2 minutes or so. So Kara, if you have any parting words in terms of, we have people who are starting the LAMP program, which is the Lane Mentorship Program, where we pair prospective students with either current students or MBA graduates as they figure out the mentorship through the process in terms of making sure that they're putting their best foot forward. What last word of advice would you give to people who are looking to secure a seat in the Terry class for next year?
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I'm excited to hear about that mentorship program. It just keeps getting better, I suppose. I think take advantage of resources like that. Take advantage of talking to current students. The admissions officers are not the only ones who can answer questions, and oftentimes our students can answer them better, especially related to the experience. And so definitely connect with current students. That is the best way to understand a program, get to know them, and determine if this is a good fit for you. They can also kind of offer you insight into their process and maybe what to expect for you going into it. So, I think that is the best thing. The other thing I'd say is, be intentional about, attending other events. I oftentimes see people going to multiple info sessions at a school where we're presenting the same information. They're showing up, I see their names, but they never ask questions. They never participate. That does nothing for you. It doesn't help your candidacy. We're not counting the number of times that you have been to an event. We're looking at kind of how you show up. And so if that means one event and you are there with some good questions and you're engaged, that is probably better than showing up to 10 events and not saying a word. So I would, leave you with that advice.
Thank you so much, Kara. Ebon, if you have any word for anyone who is looking to apply as well.
Yeah, I think I'll just echo what Kara said. everybody, someone somewhere have done what you're trying to do. So use the resources that you have, reach out to people, they have answers to your questions, reach out to admission teams, use all the resources that you have available to you. They are really going to be helpful for your admission process. Don't go just applying anyhow you feel like you should. There are ways in which things should be done, and there are people who have done it already. So please make use of those resources. I know there are tons of resources on the Lean platform. Make sure you make use of those resources, and then put your best foot forward always.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Kara and Ebun, for joining today and sharing your experience and telling us about the program. I'm very, very, very sure that the 300% would even be a larger number this year as we encourage everyone to check out the Terry program and to apply as well. Thank you, Kara and Ebun, one more time for joining. Ebun, if you still have like some more time, I know Kara will probably drop off the call. If you have any other questions, maybe you're Kara scared, you could drop some extra questions. We probably do like maybe 10 more minutes of questions. Probably, you don't know how to phrase a question, or you don't know how to come off mute, and you have some extra questions that you want to drop, would allow Kara to drop off and stop the recording and end the session officially today, but we'll stick around for like 10 more minutes in case you have any extra questions. But thank you so much, Kara, for joining us, and we hope to see more of this and more of Terry in the future. And yes, personally looking forward to seeing you on Monday.
Yes, I'm excited to see everyone. We're gonna have a big gathering of our rising second year students coming back in. Can meet all of our new students in the program. It should be fun event before classes start. But thank you all again. I'm so excited and thankful for this partnership, and I look forward to seeing all of the wonderful applications this year. And best of luck to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye, Kara. Okay. So